Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to my channel. Bo speaking. Uh, Today, I thought we'd talk a bit about dating in the Philippines. Now, dating a Filipino person is a little bit different. Why is it a little bit different? It's part of the culture. Every culture has a certain little perks to it, and the Philippines definitely has. Yeah, as it's generally quite a religious country, quite a conservative country as well. It doesn't mean the Filipino people are boring. Far from it. They're actually love to party, love to have a good time, and a lot of Filipinos love to have a drink and have a laugh and love to sing. Karaoke and videoke, that's the way. Expect that you're going to be involved in a fair bit of videoke and karaoke if you're dating a Filipino. Now, let's talk about the different ways that you meet a Filipino. So, obviously, online is one avenue. Going to the Philippines and actually meeting a Filipino person. I personally think the best way to meet a Filipino person is to go to the Philippines, and then you can meet numerous Filipino people, decide if one of those persons personality marries up with your personality, whether you guys get along well. It doesn't mean that you're exactly the same, because opposites can attract. It just, whether you enjoy their company. Now, they are a conservative culture, so generally when you date a Filipino, they expect you to talk politely, talk respectfully. Don't swear as well. Most Filipinos don't like swearing, though. Once you get comfortable, Filipinos can swear like troopers, but you have to get comfortable first. So let's start with online dating. So there's a few sites that you can meet Filipinos. I would sort of avoid using Facebook to meet Filipinos, because they can stalk you if they're a scam, or if you met the wrong person and stuff like that. And that's in general. I would use a dating site. There's actually some Filipino dating sites. There's also older sites like Tagged that a few Filipinos use, and Plenty of Fish, of course, and all that. But Plenty of Fish, though, Filipinos generally don't use it. It's more like Tagged and a couple of Filipino dating sites. Now, if you do meet a Filipino person online, do not send them money. Okay, if within the month that you get asked for money, they're not the right person for you, because that's the start of something. If the Filipino person is generally interested in getting to know you, then they're not going to ask for money. They're going to ask questions about you, and you're going to ask questions about them if you're genuinely interested in getting to know them. Age difference is not really a big deal with the Filipino people. They're more interested in who you are. They're more interested in what kind of person you are, what your morals, your ethics are, if you're a secure person, if you work, if you have a good income. That's not because they're necessarily after something. That's just because most people want to know that they're not going to carry their partner, that their partner is able to take care of them, and they're going to be able to work with you to have a great future. So if you do meet a Filipino person online, just get to know them, chat. Don't send them nude pics. No one likes that. That's just not cool in any country. Get to know them, chat to them, ask them about the day. Be aware that you'll probably find there'll be a financial gap in your life compared to theirs, as what their daily life's like. A lot of Filipino people still sleep on cardboard. They don't find that a big deal, and cardboard with a sheet over it. Filipino people are very outdoor, as in they would rather sit out the front of their place and watch the day go by and chat to the neighbours than hide in their rooms. A lot of Filipino people are poor, so you have to be aware of that. And, just be humble, be nice, be polite, get to know them, be open-minded, because if you go into the Philippines to meet a successful person and go and be successful, it might not be the right person for you. There's plenty of successful people in the Philippines, but the thing about Filipino people is they're incredibly hard working. Now, speaking from a male point of view, if you're looking for a Filipino woman, I've been married to my partner for a while now. We met 8 years ago. We're married, and she got her Australian citizenship about 6 years ago, so we're quite lucky. Within 2 years of being in Australia, my partner, now my wife, had got her citizenship. She's an amazing woman. I really do love her a lot. She's an incredibly hard worker, incredibly loyal woman, incredibly private woman. She doesn't share our lives with anyone else, and she's great like that. She's just everything that I was looking for in a partner, in a wife. And at the time, I wasn't looking for a wife. I just went to the Philippines for the first time for a holiday. We met while I was there, and we got along. We started chatting. I enjoyed her company. When I came back to Australia, I asked her if she wanted to come back to Australia for a holiday and visit. So I organised that for her. And then when she came to Australia, we had a great time. Look, on that, for example, on our first date, we went out, never asked me for anything. We went, at one stage, we went to a shopping mall, we went to a movie, we had dinner, and then I did a little bit of shopping, and she was showing me around, and I asked her if she wanted anything, and she just kept saying no. I was blessed to meet an amazing woman that came from a very humble, honourable, hard-working family that had a high code of ethics, so I've been lucky. Now, meeting online. So that's meeting online. Do not send any money. Just chat. And don't start talking to a Filipino and lead into a serious direction unless you actually plan to go to the Philippines. If you never plan to go to the Philippines, I would not recommend to meet someone online and then get them to come to your country without going there first. Because you might get them to come to your country, they might not suit you who you are, but you're there, you're stuck with them for 3 months or whatever, and you got to do the right thing. So you're better off going to the Philippines, meeting the person, getting to know them, have a holiday with them. Then if you like the person and they like you, then invite them back to your country on a visa, a holiday visa or something like that. I recommend a holiday visa first. For example, in Australia, get a 3-month holiday visa, bring them over here for 3 months. If you get along really well and when they go back you miss them and you want to see them more, then reapply for a multiple entry holiday visa. And you probably wouldn't even need to apply for multiple entry, just apply for another holiday visa, because the second time the Australian government usually gives you a multiple entry holiday visa anyway, this is what happened with my partner and I. And then on the third time that, for example, for me, on the third time that she came here to Australia, we were just getting ready to send her back for the fourth time, and I decided, look, you know what, this is just going to keep costing money. When as we already decided we really like each other, we really really enjoy each other's company, we've already got the love there. Let's just go for a partnership visa, and if you're going to do that, do not apply for the partnership visa while she's in the Philippines or he's in the Philippines. Apply for the partnership visa while that person's here, because if you apply for the partnership visa while they're in Australia, you'll get an automatic bridging visa, which means they don't have to go home, and also means they can start working. And because obviously they're going to want to help out. Filipino people are workers, and they always have family back home that they need to look after. So I'd recommend that. Now with that, so when you get to the bridging visa, that's the way to go. Do not apply for a partnership visa while they're still in the Philippines, because then you might have to wait up to 6 months or longer for you to be able to bring them to Australia. So that's the way to do that. Now, I personally think the best way to meet a Filipino woman or man is to go to the Philippines. Because you go to the Philippines, you can go on numerous dates with different Filipino people, see if they suit who you are, and you guys suit each other, and then you find the right Filipino person that you feel is the right fit for you, and then go from there and then spend time with them, then invite them back to Australia. Once they get back to Australia, then, like I said, 3 months holiday. If you want to see them more after that, if you decide that they're who you want, then you can reapply for another holiday visa, and then on the second or the third or the fourth or whatever, even if it's just the first one, when they come back for their second holiday, even just after during that 3 months, you go for the bridging visa then. Why I'd recommend not to, because if the longer you show you've been in a relationship with them, with the Australian government, the more chance of you getting that bridging visa, which leads to a partnership visa. Now, if you get them over on a holiday visa initially, and then they come back on a multiple entry holiday visa, then by the third time, then you can really consider, okay, the third or the fourth, I'm going to apply for that bridging visa now, and then the government has seen that you've been together nearly a year, and that they've come back and forwards, that they're not a stay risk against the law or anything like that they're going to go back if they get told to. And then there's more. We actually got her bridging visa so fast, we got her partnership visa so fast, and we got Australian citizenship visa so fast, and people couldn't understand how quick we did it. They were like, oh, it's been taking us 4 or 5 years, you've done it in 2 years. Because we hired an immigration lawyer. Look, it was a little bit more expensive. The whole process from the very beginning, including airfares and visas and all that sort, to the top moment she had Australian citizenship, was about 30 grand, about 30,000 Australian dollars. It could have been done cheaper if I had not hired an immigration lawyer, and if I'd filled out all the paperwork myself, then it probably would have been more realistically about 15 grand. But why we chose an immigration lawyer, because if anything came up and any issues came up, we already have a lawyer who specialises in immigration and can, dot all the dots and tick all the ticks and make sure everything's done right. That's my recommendation. So go to the Philippines, have a holiday there, meet a Filipino person, decide if you're serious, invite them down back to Australia on a holiday visa, then followed up with a multiple entry holiday visa and go from there. Then a partnership visa, which is a bridging visa after the first, a bridging visa, then a partnership visa, then she gets a permanent residency visa, and then followed after the permanent residency, she gets Australian citizenship, or he does, vice versa. So now, good thing about Filipino people is it's okay to woo, the classic word woo, a Filipino. It is okay to walk up to a Filipino woman and say, I think you're really nice, would you like to go out and date? If they're not interested, they're just going to say no. When I was in Australia, you could go up to an Australian woman, Australian man, and ask them out, and they potentially could be quite rude about it and could hurt your feelings or hurt your ego or stuff like that. Now, Filipinos are a lot more politer than that. If you go up to a Filipino person and you show interest, they'll either show interest back. Remember, they're conservative, so you might have to talk a little bit and get them to relax around you before they'll say that yes. And then ask them out on a date. If they're interested, they'll say yes. If they're not, they'll say no. And that's the great thing about Filipino people. You can ask a bunch of Filipino guys or girls if they go on a date, and they're not going to be rude about it. They're just going to be polite and basically say no, thank you. But they're also curious people. So, if the girl's single or the guy's single, they might most likely will say yes because they're curious to what's this foreigner about. They're not really a promiscuous race of people. As I said, quite conservative, quite religious background. So expect that. They love to have a joke around. At first, you'll find that the Filipino people are very shy. Not all, of course, but once they feel comfortable around you, and that can happen quite quickly, then they're going to really open up out of their shell and you'll enjoy their company. Things about dating a Filipino person. Now, Filipino people can be quite jealous. They can be quite jealous partners, can be very jealous partners, but that's up to you to reassure them to the point where eventually they go, I don't need to be jealous anymore because I trust this person. And it might frustrate you at first, like, oh, why is my partner always jealous, unnecessarily, rah, rah, rah. But as long as you keep reassuring them and you keep showing through your behaviour that you're a trustworthy partner, and that goes both ways, then you'll find that jealousy will eventually nearly go away. Now also, the other thing is if you're dating a Filipino person and you do not want them to send money back home to the Philippines, then don't date a Filipino. In the Filipino culture, they help their parents, they help their grandparents, and they help their siblings, and sometimes they help their cousins. Once again, it's a third world country. The cost of living over there is high compared to their wage. The cost of living for us over there is not much because we got a lot more money than the Filipino person. But the average wage in the Philippines is supposed to be around 650 pesos a day, and in Australian dollars, that's really about $8 a day. But that depends on the employer. A lot of Filipinos get hustled by their employers, and they realistically only get between 250 to 500 pesos a day. Anywhere between $5 to $12. Sorry, to about $10-12 is the daily wage. They could only get between $5 to $8. So the income over there is very low, and so when a Filipino comes to another country, especially when the wage is a lot higher than their country and the money value is a lot higher than their country, they're going to have family who need help because, like I said, for example, you earn your 500 pesos, which is not the actual minimum wage over there, but that's more realistically what most Filipinos will get. And then they'll take their friend or their mum or dad to a shopping centre, and each of the meals there will be 180 pesos. That's already a third of their day's wage gone just buying one dish that's not even that big. So a whole day's wage can be blown in just one meal, and so most Filipinos can't afford to eat out as well. So they just go to the local markets and local wet markets local wet markets and buy the fruit and veggies and meat and go home and eat it. So you genuinely probably find you're most likely going to meet a Filipino at their workplace and or just walking the street or anything like that. I wouldn't be looking at going to bars to pick up Filipino people because it's really not the environment. They find a nice, well, not to find, to find what you're after. If you're looking for something serious, if you're looking for fun, then off you go. A lot of college bars, if you're a younger person, that you want to go to a college bar and meet a young aspiring college student that's either going to be a doctor or a nurse or an engineer or architect or whatever, then college bars are a lot of fun to go to if that's your thing. But if you're an older bloke, especially at my age, for example, or a little bit young, and you're looking for something serious because you've got a bit old and you want to settle down, then just cruise around. And if you see someone that looks like you'd find them attractive, whatever, and they're not wearing a wedding ring, you can go up and say hello. If they're friendly back, then just say, look, would you like to go to dinner? And if they say no, then you just let it go and move on. And that doesn't, if they tell you they're single, that doesn't mean necessarily then you can give up. You could come the next day and chat again with them and have a laugh. And if they're reciprocating, if you can see they're uncomfortable, then leave them alone, obviously, because that's called stalking. And if they're reciprocating and they're enjoying your company, you can see that, ask again. If they say no again, well, that's really the sign that you need to just leave this person alone and move on and find another person that suits who you are and go for. So yeah, once again, dating a Filipino person, conservative culture, conservative people, but love to have fun, love to have a good time, love to dance, and love to sing. If you end up in a relationship with a Filipino, they're going to be sending money home to their family, and it may frustrate you sometimes because it may end up a lot of money sometimes if the family member's sick or there's issues or whatever. So you got to expect that. That's just part of the culture. They don't really have a pension. They have a pension over there for aged people, but the government can be a bit lax, and some month they do pay in the pension and some month they don't. So obviously the children and the grandchildren are always looking after the grandparents and the mum and dad, especially if someone in the family gets sick, as I mentioned before. So that's about the sum of it. If you want to date a Filipino person, I recommend you go there. Go there. I recommend you honestly don't bother with going online, though there's been heaps of people that have found successful relationships online and been super happy, but definitely recommend going there. Anyway, folks, thanks for listening. Have a good day.